Good evening, everybody. Sorry for the weird intro here. I thought they were starting, and I wasn't going to say anything to you, and then they didn't start, and we went back to the metal music here. We're grabbing this from Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events. If you want to watch it over there, please do. We thank Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events for bringing us this Bernie Sanders rally. He's in Sioux Falls, and South Dakota, at the Sioux Falls Convention Center. Earlier today, we watched him at on the Pine Ridge reservation, and we just finished We the People with Caesar McKnight, who is the District 101 rep for South Carolina. Hi, how you doing, everybody? Who's all here? Who we got here? Make sure we got no echo going on. We're looking good. We're doing good. Great picture. I don't know where they're grabbing this from, but that's a great great image there. See? Really nice. You guys got comments going on? Let's see. I'm still like excited as hell from watching Caesar. I love what the guy had to say. It was like wow, you guys have a ton of comments already. Holy cow. I was laughing with Nico earlier about this because I realized, he's like, wow, this guy's really saying everything I want him to say. He really understands. He gets, that marijuana it shouldn't be Schedule 1. Where does this guy come from? Why does he understand all this stuff? And I realized it's because he's my age. He's Gen X. He's 42. I'm not dealing with somebody who was indoctrinated by what Harry Anslinger had to say about marijuana. My father, my mother, their parents, they grew up misinformed. I grew up with the Reagan era misinformed, the Just Say No years, right? And it was really nice to hear other people speak in an educated fashion about the truth about cannabis. Anyway, I kind of thought this was going to start already. How's everybody doing out there? Next, we have a question or two. Let's see. How is Kentucky looking for Bernie? Oh, did they start? No. My understanding is Kentucky is purple. Not exactly sure what that means. Jeff Young seemed to be pretty optimistic about his chances there. He's running, and hope to have him back on. But I don't know. I really don't know. I'd like somebody else. Anybody from Kentucky there can give us an idea of what's going on? I don't have Scott. I don't have anybody. I'm just kind of flying solo here. Liam's hanging out. I don't know. Liam, you know anything? You don't have to say anything. You can just nod. I don't even know that Liam's listening to me. That's fine. Thank you, Kristen O'Connor. Love my daily... or is that Christine? I apologize. Love my daily dose of Bernie 2016 TV. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Bernie 2016 TV is the first of its kind, actually. I don't know how many people have been around, known where we started, but, back in end of May, June of 2015, right after Bernie made his announcement, I went, well, I'm going to start Bernie 2016 TV, and I made a video, and I said, I've got everything we need except people. So if you'll show up with and believe in my crazy ideas that I'm telling you, we can make this thing happen. And I didn't expect anybody to show up. And I got hundreds of people to show up. And here we are today. So this exists because of people. It's very indicative of democracy. And the only reason it works is because a whole bunch of people do a whole bunch of things all the time. They go to work, they come home, they do BTV. Or they're unemployed, they do BTV. Or they're like me, are lucky enough to have a wife who is working a job she hates to let me do this. Right? I shouldn't say hates, just keep her job. But you know what I mean. Oh, no, just a new song. Anyway, This is exactly what Bernie's talking about. There are hundreds of groups like this, right? Hundreds of volunteer efforts that have started up since Bernie announced. And I remember in June of 2015 getting excited about July, I think it was July 28th. There's going to be the first national house party for Bernie Sanders. And we were hoping to have 100,000 people. Do you know that, I think the last count I saw, there was 1.288 million people that had shown up in a Bernie rally. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. Yeah? The screaming feel the burn. Doesn't look like a small crowd there. They really don't have to like squeeze everybody forward like they do at a Hillary Clinton rallies. Like, oh, well, we got 250 people that we managed to torture and, threaten to get in here. So. I'm trying to see what they're doing with the audio here. I gotta see the. I lost. Okay, they killed their audio on it. That's not me. That's them. And I'm looking at your comments here. I had to still looking at. I'm doing a million things at once here. We just ended the show with Caesar McKnight, starting up this one, and I've got the. You can't see my screen. Let me show you my screen here. Here's. What I had was I was looking at the YouTube back end telling me what's going on because I have to monitor it, make sure we're still streaming and all that. And usually I look at your guys' comments and I try to read the comments. And I'm sitting here looking at the page. I'm going, what? Nobody's saying anything. We're all these people. Like, I know we're live. At least I think we're live. Let me make sure there's no echo or anything. 117 audio clear. Thank you, Liam. Like, I know we're live. Where are the comments? And then I realized that I actually have the tab open from the We the People. So there's a good reason that nobody is commenting because you weren't there. But now I see it. Now I see it. You guys sent the NAGPG up. $27.99 to Bernie and $25.99 to Tim Canova today. You're a badass. Thank you so much. I think, what did I see? Tim Canova, $1 million. We have raised. Oh, so hang on. They are adjusting cameras. We together have raised $1 million for Tim Canova. That's freaking badass. That's the power of the people right there. It's sad that we have to represent the power of the people in monetary gain. Like how much mass of capitalism can we, put together for Bernie, put together for our candidates, but that's the prize. That's the resource that matters the most in our country right now. And we're working on changing that. The resource that should matter the most in our country is us, the people, not the profit, right? But we have to use our profit. We have to amass profit so that we can put people like Bernie Sanders, like Tim Canova, like Caesar McKnight in place so that we can change things and switch it back to being about the people. That's what's going on here. Bernie, Bernie, Bernie. Agenor. Sorry, I'm demolishing your name, but I just saw you, Bernie, Bernie, Bernie. That made me think of, I want to say it's Baby Got Packs, AJ Plus. I should find that. That's a great one. I love Tim too. We had Tim on We the People. And if you're a Bernie-crat, if you're a down ticket candidate, or if you're a sitting representative who feels the burn, we'd love to have you on We the People. That's what it's for. It's open. There's no censorship. There's you can say what you want. There's no filters. We're not like traditional networks. We're not going to ask you dumb questions. We're actually going to seek the truth together. Have a conversation. Audio just came back, if you couldn't tell. Hoping they start soon. Bernie raised $1 million in 1 week this past week. That's badass. That is badass. 177 audio clear. Nice to have you all here. 177 people. That is awesome. Thank you for being here with us. What do I have in stories? Thank you for organizing this, John. You rock, man. Well, thank you so much. Oh, hey, man. How you doing from Google Plus? I don't get around there anymore. I really, really don't. But I saw your post the other day with the stats. That's your stats, the 1.288 million people. If you want to drop that link or get that link to our comment mods, that would be fantastic because it showed, because I think it was a resource of like all the things. It's just fantastic. the amount of people that have been mobilized. There was an article, I don't have the link to it because I wasn't expecting to have to vamp for this long, but there was an article earlier about why Bernie has already won. And it was in reader-supported news. And the point of the article is that Bernie has beaten apathy. For the last 30, 40, 50 years, what we have seen increasingly is apathy. And apathy is giving away the power, right? So what has happened this year that no other candidate has been able to do, Barack Obama a little bit, but he didn't keep it going. It's like Barack Obama kind of tried to start the fire and then walked away because he got embroiled in establishment politics. Bernie Sanders mobilized those of us who were, I was completely apathetic to government. I was looking for a place to go live in Costa Rica. I had booked a trip to Costa Rica before Bernie Sanders announced, before I decided to create Bernie 2016 TV. And then after he announced and I created the station, I'm like, shit, I don't want to go to Costa Rica now. I want to put this guy in office. But I'm not alone. So many of us, so many of you were just like, I don't give a shit anymore. And Bernie got us to actually give a shit again. That is the point of democracy, and that's taking back your power. Because when you don't give a shit, you give up your power. And Obama is the one who said that. I think he might have a lot to say about that and what he's experienced with it from many sides personally as the president and prior to being the president. I think he had a lot of ideas, and I think those ideas got squished and changed once he realized that he was really beholden to so many interests already that he couldn't make any change that he really wanted to make, right? And so, yeah. Yep, didn't care until Bernie showed up. Exactly. I didn't either. Costa Rica doesn't have an army. They declared it unconstitutional. Actually, that's kind of not true. They don't have an army. You're absolutely right. And they spend much more of their money on the resources that are natural. They're working on like making 45% of their land just natural resource. Can't touch it, can't do anything with it. Dick Cheney is actually down there buying up a giant chunk of land, trying to bribe the government. He succeeded in bribing the government, letting him put a lagoon in there with something they didn't want in, so he can bring in a damn seaplane, so he can bring his rich buddies down there. And he tried to privatize a section of beach, which is illegal in Costa Rica. But of course, Cheney wants what he wants, so he bought out the government, which unfortunately is kind of corrupt, but they're corrupt in like a good movie type mafia way. They leave you alone, you leave them alone, and you can get most things done with a certain amount of cash. However, Costa Rica does have two military options, right? The United States military is their backup plan. So don't, and I forget the second one. I want to say the French, but that's not it. I don't know. It's another country. There's some other country that they're like, or maybe it's I don't know who the hell it is. The United States is the first, of course, we're their buddies. We're their buddies. Because I'm sure we want resources in Costa Rica, like Cheney wants coastline. So they declared it unconstitutional, but they also declared that they have a backup plan and they can call in the United States when they need a military, which is odd because if they needed one, it would probably be against U.S. weapons that were sold to some other country that is attacking Costa Rica, like in most cases. 221. No audio. I know what I wanted to play. I was trying to think before I started this what I wanted to play, and I realized it's this piece by Lee Camp. It is the most beautiful. I'm becoming a big fan. It's like 4.5 minutes of just absolute perfectness in satire and in explaining what the hell's going on. And I don't want to run it right now. Chat wants a quick brief on Tim Canova for a newcomer to the channel. Tim Canova running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz in whatever her district is in Florida. He's a Bernie-crat. He's got balls. He demonstrated for Bernie on the streets, screaming that basically. I mean, we had a video. It was awesome. He's a good guy. I can't really tell you much about his specific positions or anything going on in Florida. I can just say Bernie-crat, believes in the Bernie issues, preaches the Bernie mantra, and wants to get rid of Debbie Wasserman Schultz because, well, because who doesn't want to get rid of Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Because the man's got a moral compass. That's why. But that's what I can tell you about that. Yeah. Oh, audio back. Good. No. Those people that are asked to stand back there have so much patience. They just have to sit there and wait. And I know they're all hyped up, but they all campaigns like select the people they're going to put directly behind Bernie, because you can't have like some crazy asshat show up or don't want to put like me. You wouldn't put me behind them because I'd be like doing obscene things and screaming crazy. You wouldn't want me by. You want somebody smiley and happy. So they have to be selected. But these people also have to stand there for a long ass time, really long time. Those of you that have been to rallies, I'm jealous. And I'm thankful that I don't go and I get to have this view, which is all of your perspectives. I will go to a rally someday, but I know that it's just an insane experience because there's so many people and it takes so long to get in there. And I just think that's amazing. It's like waiting for the only equivalent I have, honestly, is the first Star Wars movie in 1977. I went to see that at the only theater that could actually play it at the time, which was the Continental downtown, or was it downtown? I don't remember where it was, on University or something in Colorado. Big theaters, like the big theaters, the Continental. And the line when I got there was wrapped around the building 4 times. And that didn't matter. So maybe the adrenaline that carried me through getting into the line 4 times, I didn't even know what showing I was going to get into. We just got in line. And eventually I will end up at the movie. Right, that's the only equivalent I can think of to Bernie Sanders times like 1,000 probably, because there's a number of people. But and I actually think going to see Bernie Sanders more exciting than the first Star Wars. Anyway, I just had to go off on that. The aching feet, everybody. I'm reading. Oh please, let's get rid of Debbie. Yes. I could imagine the feet would just be awesome. Well, yeah, I could. Yeah. We've got a lot of people from our group have actually seen Bernie in a number of different places. What other questions we got? I'm looking at we're just ranking through your chat here. So I didn't really answer the Kentucky question. I was pretty useless there. Daily Dose of Bernie 2016 TV. Is Kentucky an open primary? I know nothing about Kentucky. Tomorrow I will learn something about Kentucky. If anybody knows anything, wants to drop it in discussion, tell me about Kentucky. You guys tell me. I don't know. You guys answer your own questions, because obviously I'm not going to be very useful on the Kentucky questions. Do I plan on going back to doing an evening show? I know you're busy now. An evening show, like an evening news? Is that what you're talking about? Because the problem is that we had to start doing the evening rallies because he's out West Coast, right? Here's my goal. My goal is to build a second machine. I need to build a second machine because with 2 machines, we can do, alternating shows. I can almost double the schedule. I would love to have a morning news, an evening news. I would eventually love to do 3 newses, right? I want to start doing We the People more often because we have way too many people to we. we have bookings for We the People, and we have people we can't even book that are relevant to book right now, right? None of these people are getting airtime. None of these people are getting any attention whatsoever. And so, and I want to start just a regular climate series. So to answer your question, I would love to get an evening show done and a whole bunch of other things, Stefan Dokal. But I need to build a second machine. Building a second machine, getting somebody trained to do what I do here with a secondary system that I have planned out that is that doesn't need to be as complex as what this is here. To do it, that opens up the bottleneck. Right now, I'm the bottleneck on development. Now, the Gen team, the Global Engagement Network, that's everybody that does work in the background here, Nico and Ryan and John Spalding and all those people. They're also building the Global Engagement Network, which is going to be an actual business, an LLC, probably a nonprofit, but there's debate as to what kind of a 5-0 whatever, and I don't have anything to do with that crap. I said, I'm Charlie. I'm the executive producer. I'm going to sit here and executive produce things. You guys let me know when there's a business, and then we'll put all this together and do that. So when that happens, that's supposed to be done around August. When that happens, we're going to explode this thing into hugeness and create a number of break-off channels, a number of programs, and hopefully bring in some people, get some people paid, start putting this thing really with a solid foundation. That's the goal, just to expand on that ridiculously. All right. Let's see what else here. Paulie. John, I'm almost done with the comedy animation of the show. I hope you... Oh, lovely. Wonderful. Yeah. I remember you telling me about that. I can't wait to see it. That's going to be awesome. Thank you. Can anyone confirm these LA Coliseum plans I just donated? No, I can't. I've heard rumor. That's it. Until we get something from Briggs, and I don't see Aniko hanging out. She might know because she is the one who does our schedule. So I will let you know as soon as I have LA knowledge. Geek or Greek vegetarian recipe. I'm guessing that's recipe. Sorry. Who is Tim Canova? I think we just answered that question for you, or at least as much as I could anyway. They just kicked an audio again. Nothing going on. They are still waiting. Oh, they're burning Bernie chant. Very nice. Very nice. Jersey's looking close? Really? GJ Freak 123? That's cool. The screen that I look at's over here, but I realize when I look at it over here, I look weird on the screen, so I'm trying to figure out I can look over here and look over there, you know? I gotta readjust this stuff one of these days. I will be moving. This BTV will be moving probably about a month, maybe a month and a half, two tops. So when that happens, we're going to have all sorts of fun because I'm going to have a new big space and redesign, and it'll actually be a place on some land where if people who are down in the Corvallis area who are interested in volunteering and doing something that's, you know, kind of freaking cool, you'll be able to come down to our place and we'll get to work and do some awesome stuff. So just a hint to anybody who's down in the Corvallis area, that is where I will be. And I know there's a couple colleges down around there. I think. It's also a fantastic area to grow cannabis. Not the reason we're going, but I'm excited about that, I have to say. Let's see, what else do we got here? That's it. I ran through all your questions. We're still waiting for this thing to start. Wow. All right, I guess we'll move on to other stories. You know, the minute I start to play a video, they're going to kick in. Oh, here we go. And now your original program.
Wow, what a night in Sioux Falls. What an amazing crowd. Sioux Falls is the center of the political world tonight. How about that? This is amazing. You know, a week ago, I was right here, just right next door, and a 73-year-old guy, came out with a guitar, and he sang some songs, Paul McCartney, and he just rocked South Dakota. How many of you were here that night? Yeah, quite a few. Well, if you didn't make it that night, you're here for the really big thing tonight. After Paul McCartney played in South Dakota, the biggest newspaper in Minnesota, they were envious that Paul McCartney started here, and they wrote something that said, well, there's nothing else to be proud of in South Dakota. Well, you and I know there's 1,000 things to be proud of in South Dakota. One of them is our progressive culture. Honestly, our progressive culture. Some of the greatest political leaders of the last 100 years have come from South Dakota. How about the preacher's son from Avon who helped South Dakota farmers feed the world, George McGovern? born in a garage and became the majority leader of the United States Senate, and he fought for a minimum wage, for health care reform, for campaign reform. Tom Dassel. How about Tim Johnson, our U.S. Senator, who never quit working for South Dakota? And you know what? All of our progressive leaders have not been Democrats. There was Peter Norbeck, maybe the greatest South Dakotan of the 20th century. Peter Norbeck, who made Mount Rushmore possible. Peter Norbeck started a state cement plant, and he wanted a state stockyards, and state flour mills, and state everything. And they called Bernie Sanders a socialist? Come on. And how about Hubert Humphrey, raised in Dolan, South Dakota, son of a pharmacist? We shared him with Minnesota. Hubert Humphrey said, let me read this. Hubert Humphrey said, the time has arrived in America for the Democratic Party to walk forthrightly into the bright sunshine of human rights. So where else would Bernie Sanders be than here tonight? Today, South Dakota is the progressive capital of the world, thanks to Bernie Sanders. He's shining. The state capital has a French name that's hard to pronounce. What state would do that, right? Montpelier. South Dakota and Vermont, we're both rural states, we're both farm states. We have better roast beef, they have better maple syrup, but it's all good, right? We're tourism states that love the outdoors. We're beautiful states of independent thinkers, people who think for themselves and know that what government is whatever we want it to be, whatever we make it. In many ways, the United States should be more like Vermont and South Dakota. And it will be. It will be more like Vermont and South Dakota when we elect a great Vermonter, a great American Senator Sanders as our next president. So tonight, last week it was Paul McCartney. Tonight it's another 73-year-old man is here. Like Paul McCartney, he's a rock star without a guitar, but with a message of hope and a call for a peaceful revolution of all Americans. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's give a big, big, big South Dakota welcome to the next president of the United States, Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you all very much for coming out tonight. Let me love you too. So. Let me begin by thanking the Good Road Bands, Clarence Rose Gordon, West Coast, and the SWO Desert Era Veterans, the Dakota Plains Dance Company, Trio Zena Performers, Allison Redville, Corey Clay Williams, Clara Hart, and Senator Bernie Hunoff. And mostly, I want to thank all of you for being here. Your presence here tonight tells me that Sioux City is ready for a political revolution. That Sioux City is ready for a political revolution. Sioux Falls, thank you. Well, is Sioux Falls ready for a political revolution? That I want to make tonight in a very serious tone is that I hope all of you understand that no president, not Bernie Sanders or anyone else, and I appreciate Bernie, but this is not about Bernie. This is about you. And the truth is, and we try to tell the truth on this campaign, is that no president can do it alone. And the reason that no president can do it alone is the fact that the people who have the economic and political power in this country are so strong, have so much money, so much influence, that the only way we transform America is when millions of people in Sioux Falls and Sioux City and Burlington, Vermont, when we all come together. And that is really what this campaign is about. We are the vast majority of the people in this country. There is nothing that I'm going to tell you tonight that is radical, that is extremist, that is not
Sorry, everybody. This is buffering. Bernie Sanders Speeches and Events is scraping this from somebody, and that's buffering. So we're just dealing with the tech here. This is what happens when you aren't given free public access to, well, political speech, which is supposed to be the most protected speech in America.
It's an agenda that represents your family and the vast majority of families in this country, and not just billionaires. All of you know that truth, because it is a very unpleasant truth. That's just a fact. But unless we address that reality, unless we transform our relationship to the Native American people, we are not going to begin to deal with the problems that exist today, and there are many of them. So the first, I think one of the points that I want to make tonight is we have to have the courage to address the reality of American society. And the only people who can determine what the reality of American society is you. It's not going to be the television. The media is not going to do it for you for a number of reasons. You can watch television as we stay in Vermont till the cows come home. But you may never see very much about the reality of life for working people in this country on TV. There are reasons for that. So our job is ourselves, with our families and our friends, to determine what is going on in America, be open and honest about it, and then come up with solutions to those problems. And let me just throw out some ideas. These are ideas that most politicians don't talk about. You're not going to see much on TV. Number one, I'm the former chairman of the U.S. Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. And I want to thank all of the veterans in South Dakota and all over this country for putting their lives on the line. Putting their lives on the line to defend our country. And we have got to do everything that we can to make sure that veterans get all of the health care and the other benefits that they are entitled to. But you know, when we ask ourselves, and we say, well, veterans fought and died to defend our way of life, at the essence of our way of life is called democracy. Democracy. Now, democracy is not a complicated concept. It means one person, one vote. It means that you've got a vote, and you've got a vote, and you have a vote, and you have a vote. It doesn't mean that billionaires should have significantly more power over the political process than you do. And let me mention a word that no other candidate for president will ever talk about. And that is oligarchy. You know what oligarchy is? Oligarchy is the exact opposite of democracy. Democracy is about people coming up and arguing and debating, respecting other people's point of view, and then having a vote and majority wins. Oligarchy is when a handful of very, very wealthy people end up controlling our economy and our politics. And I am very concerned about the direction in which our political life is moving, because in my view, when we have a situation as a result of the Citizens United Supreme Court decision that allows billionaires to spend hundreds of millions of dollars, there will be one family that will spend 1,000 times more in campaign contributions than everybody in this room combined. That is not democracy, that is oligarchy, and that is why together we're going to overturn Citizens United. And I want you, what this campaign is about, is asking people to think big, not small. All right, we're going to get rid of Citizens United, we're going to get rid of super PACs, but that's not enough. That's not enough. What I want is for anybody here, anybody in South Dakota or Vermont, anybody who wants to run for office, you're progressive, you're conservative, you're moderate, I want you to be involved, fight for your ideas without having to beg millionaires for campaign contributions. I want you to think of an America where we have one of the highest voting turnouts in the world, not one of the lowest. I want you to think of an America, and I don't want to exaggerate this or become too crazy here, where people spend maybe 20% as much time thinking about the important issues facing our country as they do on football. I know that's a radical idea. But that's job number one, creating a vibrant democracy. And I'll tell you something that has been very exciting to me in this campaign. When we began the campaign, I think the pundits and the experts assumed that young people were not particularly interested in politics or government. They thought that young people were very busy with their video games or whatever else they were doing. But you know what's happened in this campaign all over this country? Young people understand that they are the future of this country. And that they want to help shape that future for the world in which they're going to be living. So creating a vibrant democracy is something enormously important. And we have got to recognize that right now we have a corrupt, and I use that word advisedly, a corrupt campaign finance system that is undermining democracy. Together we're going to change that. Second issue out there, which we have to also lay right on the table, and that is we have a rigged economy. What does that mean? What does it mean? It means that today we have more wealth and income inequality in America than at any time since 1928, and it is worse here than in almost any major country on earth. Today in America, I hope you listen to this, the top 0.1%, not 1%, 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. In America today, the 20 wealthiest people own more wealth than the bottom half of America, 150 million people. Now, when we talk about a rigged economy, it is not just the grossly unequal distribution of wealth and income. It is also how the system works. Here's an example, just one example. Who knows which family is the wealthiest family in America? That's right. It's the Walton family, worth, I think, about $130 billion. Now, Walton family owns Walmart. Walmart pays its employees. You got Walmarts around here? Anybody here work at Walmart? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Walmart pays its employees wages that are so low that many of their employees are forced to go on food stamps and Medicaid. Now here is what is absurd. The the middle class and working class of this country pay higher taxes in order to subsidize the workers of Walmart who work for the wealthiest family in the United States of America. See, that's a rigged economy. Working people should not have to subsidize a family worth $130 billion. You know, you got a lot of Republicans talking about people on welfare, ripping off the system. It turns out that the Walton family is the major beneficiary of welfare in the United States of America. Billions of dollars, actually. We give their family billions of dollars to subsidize their employees. So I say to the Walton family, those of you who work in Walmart, you can convey this to the family. They've got to start paying their workers a living wage. We're tired of subsidizing. And then just to kind of complete the circle here, it turns out that one of the Waltons, Alice Walton, makes a $300,000 campaign contribution to Secretary Clinton's PAC, Super PAC. So maybe instead of contributing hundreds of thousands of dollars to Secretary Clinton's super PAC, she might want to use that money to pay her workers a living wage. But it is not only the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality that we have. What is happening in our economy on a day-to-day basis? Look, over the last 30 years, as all of you know, there has been an explosion in technology. That explosion makes every worker here more productive than the workers who came before. Now, if you are producing more, one of two things should happen. Either you should be making more income because you're producing more, or you should be working fewer hours. The truth is that despite the increase in productivity, millions of workers are working longer hours for lower wages. Now, my state of Vermont, you tell me whether it's true here in South Dakota. I don't know. I'm assuming it's true. You tell me. In my state, it is not uncommon for people to be working 2 or 3 jobs to cobble together some income and outcome. I'm looking at a couple here. Woman is saying 3 jobs. Guy is saying 2 jobs. Okay. I'll tell you what we're going to do about it. For a start, what we are going to do is to say that anybody in America who works 40 hours a week will not live in poverty. And that means raising the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. And what we're also going to do about it is end the absurdity of women in America making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. Here's what else we're going to do about it. We're going to create millions of good-paying jobs, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure. This is the United States of America. We should not be living in a nation in 2016 where our roads, our bridges, our water systems and our wastewater plants are in need of massive repair. You know, in Vermont, people go into a pothole, we don't see them for weeks. After the thaw is over, we dig them out in the summertime. But all over this country, and by the way, it's not a joke, billions of dollars in automobile expenses occur because people's tires and axles get destroyed by going over potholes. We got thousands of bridges in this country that are in desperate need of repair. We used to have in America the cutting edge and best rail system in the world, the most modern system. We no longer have that. So we can create 13 million good-paying jobs rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, and together we're going to do that. I'll tell you what else we're going to do. In my state, in your state, and all over this country, what we have seen over the last 30 years is many large and greedy corporations saying, why do I want to pay somebody in South Dakota a living wage when I can shut down here, shut down my plant in Vermont, and move to China, move to Mexico, and pay people starvation wages? Since 2001, we have lost almost 60,000 factories in America and millions of good-paying jobs. Now, not all of those losses are due to trade, but a lot of them are. Our message, my message to corporate America, if you want us to purchase your products, start manufacturing those products in the United States, not in China. You know what else we're going to do? What? Glad that you asked. When you have massive income and wealth inequality, when today moms are out working, dads are out working, kids are out working, and 58% of all new income goes to the top 1%. When you have large multinational corporations who make billions of dollars a year in profit, but in a given year stash their profits in the Cayman Islands and in Bermuda, and don't pay a nickel in federal taxes in a given year, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make them start paying their fair share of taxes. And I'll tell you what else we're going to do. You know, from where I come from and what I believe, a great nation is judged not by the number of millionaires it has, and not by the number of nuclear weapons that it has. A great nation is judged by how it treats the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us. In Sioux Falls, in Burlington, and all over this country, you have senior citizens right now. They're sitting home in their apartments or their homes, often women 80 years of age, and they are trying to make it on $10,000, $11,000 a year of Social Security. They're trying to heat their homes in the winter, buy the medicine that they need, buy the food that they need, by the medical care they need on $11,000 a year. You know what? They are not doing that. In some cases, less than that. And that is why now, in response to that, if you can believe it, What most Republicans want to do actually is to cut Social Security for seniors and disabled veterans. Can you imagine a group of people who want to give huge tax breaks to billionaires? And that's Donald Trump's deal, huge tax breaks to billionaires, but at the same time you got Republicans all over this country who want to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Well, we have some very bad news for them. We are not going to turn our backs on seniors or disabled veterans. We are going to raise benefits, not cut benefits. This campaign does not spend any time in the homes of billionaires hustling campaign contributions. I would much rather, and this is what we do all over the country, be here in Sioux Falls than hustling money from a handful of wealthy people. This campaign is going to win because we are listening to the American people. And I'll tell you, one group of people who we are listening to very carefully are young people. And I want you to think outside of the box. Forget what the TV tells you. Forget what the members of Congress tell you. All right, just think for a second. Everybody here knows that education is essential for our own human growth. All right? And I hope that everybody here wants to keep learning until the last day of his or her life. And everybody here knows that in a competitive global economy, we need the best educated workforce in the world. Young people ask me a very simple but profound question. They say, how is it that when we go out and get the best education that we can, when we do the right thing, why are we ending up with $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 in student debt? Think about it for a second. We are in a competitive global economy. We need all of our people, every single one, to get the best education he or she can get. And what we are doing as a nation now is punishing people for getting that education. We are literally discouraging people from getting the education they need to make our economy the strongest it can be. That is crazy stuff. All right? And that is why we have got to do two things. Number one, we have got to understand that when we talk about public education, right now we talk about it as first grade through 12th grade, right? I went to public schools. First grade, actually kindergarten through 12th grade. Well, you know what? In the year 2016, we have to expand that concept. 50 years ago, kindergarten through 12th grade was great. You graduate high school, go out and get a good job. The world has changed. Today, when we talk about public education, we have got to be talking about making public colleges and universities tuition free. Now think about it for a second. Does anybody here think that this is a radical idea? It really is not. It's an idea that will happen. Our job is to make it happen sooner than later. A meeting a year or so ago, and I was mentioning that in Scandinavia, higher education is free. Some guy jumps up and he says, "Senator, you're wrong. I come from Finland. It is not free. They actually pay us to go to college." All right. So I stood corrected. But the point is, think outside the box. Do we want a strong economy and good jobs? Of course we do. To do that, we need the best educated workforce in the world. That means we have got to invest in our young people and make college available for all. Let me tell you what making public colleges and universities tuition-free also means. I grew up in a family that didn't have a lot of money. My parents never went to college. And that is the story for millions of families in South Dakota, Vermont, all over this country. Now, you got a kid in Sioux Falls. Parents never went to college. Maybe that kid is in the 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. Kid is thinking to himself, will I ever be able to go to college? My family doesn't have a lot of money. We don't know anybody who ever went to college. I'm never going to be able to go to college. Why the hell am I studying right now? And then high school comes around, that kid drops out. What I want is for every child in Sioux Falls and Vermont and all over this country to understand that if he or she does well in school, takes school seriously, regardless of the income of their family, they will be able to get a college education. And the second issue and related issue that we've got to deal with is the issue of student debt. Anybody here with student debt? Oh, I see 1 or 2 people. Okay. Now, we are going to deal with that in the following ways. Right now, people with student debt are paying interest rates of 6, 8, 10%. We are going to give those people the opportunity to refinance their loans at the lowest interest rates they can find. Now, I am criticized every day because this campaign thinks big, not small. And my critics and the newspapers, everybody says, well, Bernie is Santa Claus. He wants. In the last 25 years, newspapers forgot to tell you this, but there has been a massive redistribution of wealth. The redistribution has gone from the middle class and working class to the top 1/10 of 1%, who have seen in that period a doubling of the percentage of wealth they own. Number 2, 8, 9 years ago, after Wall Street's greed and recklessness and illegal behavior nearly destroyed our economy, against my vote, Congress bailed them out. Now, it seems to me that given the fact that Wall Street today is doing just fine after you helped bail them out, that it is totally appropriate to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. And just doing that will bring in more than enough money to make public colleges and universities tuition-free and substantially reduce student debt. When we think big, we start asking ourselves, what are the most important needs of the American people? What do human beings need? And everybody here knows that healthcare is a very fundamental and basic need, right? And really what this campaign is also about, in a very deep sense, is taking on a right-wing ideology which believes that every person is in it for themselves and that the rich should continue to dominate our society and get virtually everything that we have. My view is very different. So let me be as clear as I can be. And I want you to think about this for a second, because what we are talking about is a very fundamental debate. What are the rights of the American people? What are the rights? Well, we got a Constitution. It means that you can get up on a soapbox and speak. That's freedom of speech. You have a right to exercise and be part of any religion you want, freedom of religion. We have a lot of freedoms. But I think we have got to go a little bit further and understand that people also need economic rights. I just, as I mentioned earlier, came from the Pine Ridge Reservation. People there are dying. Their life expectancy is the equivalent of poor third world countries. You all know that? I was in McDowell County, Virginia, West Virginia last week, one of the poorest counties in America. The life expectancy for men there was 18 years less than a wealthy county in Virginia 6 hours away by car. In other words, poverty in America is not just that you can't go out to eat in a fancy restaurant or that you don't have a big car. Poverty in many respects is a death sentence. Now, I believe, my Republican colleagues do not, but I do, that yes, you have freedom of speech and freedom of religion, all the other freedoms that our great Constitution provides us, and we're very proud of that. But I also believe that a fundamental right of the American people must be health care. And that means if you are young, you're old, you're wealthy, or you're poor, you should be entitled as an American right to the best health care this system can provide you. I am on the Senate committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act. The Affordable Care Act has done a number of very important things, but it has not gone far enough. And the question I want everybody here to be asking themselves is, how can it be that in every other major country on earth, everyone, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Holland, Italy, Canada, I live 50 miles away from Canada, all of these countries guarantee health care to all of their people as a right. The United States is the only major country not to do so. Meanwhile, 29 million Americans have no health insurance, and many of you, tell me if I'm right or wrong, are underinsured with high deductibles and high copayments, all right? And what happens if you have a high deductible, a high copayment, and you don't have any money? You don't go to the doctor, right? All right, you don't go to the doctor. You go to the emergency room, which costs 10 times more than other forms of health care. Pretty dumb. All right, then on top of all of that, the pharmaceutical industry is ripping all of us off. They are charging us by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. You go up to Canada, buy the same damn medicine you're buying in America for half of the price. And then on top of all of that, we are paying substantially more per person for health care than the people of any other country. We spend almost 3 times more per person than you do in the United Kingdom, 50% more than in France, far more than in Canada. So what are we going to do? I will tell you what we're going to do. We are going to take on the drug companies. And we are going to take on the private insurance companies. And we are going to pass a... When you think big and outside of the status quo, this is what you should be thinking. That anybody in America who gets sick will be able to go to the doctor, not have to worry about deductibles or copayments. That if you end up in the hospital, you're not going to have to worry about paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in co-payments. And if you really want to think big, think about this. If everybody in this room has quality health care as a right, many of you will not have to stay think of what it means in terms of the entrepreneurial spirit of America when people can go out, start their own new businesses, and not have to worry about health insurance. This campaign is listening to people whose voices and pain are not often heard. We are listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. There are 11 million undocumented people in this country, and today and every day, many of them are being exploited by their employers because they have no legal rights. That's why I believe we need comprehensive immigration reform and a path toward citizenship. This campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. In the last number of months, I have been in communities like Flint, Michigan, where children were poisoned by lead in the water. I've been in Detroit, Michigan, where their public school system is on the verge of financial collapse. I have been in Baltimore, Maryland, where tens of thousands of people there are addicted to heroin and can't get treatment. I have been in African American communities where there are no grocery stores or any bank branches. The African American community is asking me the same, Bernie, how come we have trillions of dollars to spend on a war in Iraq we never should have gotten into? A war which I vigorously opposed. Trillions for war, but apparently we don't have enough money to rebuild our inner cities. Well, together, elected president, we are going to change our national priorities. We are not going to rebuild the infrastructure of Iraq and Afghanistan. We're going to rebuild the infrastructure and inner cities of the United States of America. This campaign is listening very attentively to a people whose voice is almost never heard, and that is the Native American community. All of you know, who have studied 2 minutes of American history, that from before this country became a country, when the first settlers came here, the Native American people were lied to, they were cheated, and treaties they negotiated were broken. Meanwhile, we owe the Native American people a debt that we can never repay. We take it for granted, but the Native American people have enriched our culture and taught us so much. So much. For example, think about it. They, more than any other people, have told us that as human beings, we are part of nature. That as human beings, we must coexist with nature. And they have always known from way back when, that if you destroy nature, you are ultimately destroying the human species. But despite all that the Native American people have given to us, it is not only in Pine Ridge, but in reservations all across this country, poverty and unemployment sky high. Suicide rates among young people horrifically high. Alcohol and drug abuse awfully high. We need to change in a very fundamental way our relationship to the Native American people. And if elected president, that is what we will do. Now, I want to become a little bit political here. After all, I am running for president, so I want to say a few words. I want to say just a few words about some of the differences that exist between Secretary Clinton and myself. Number one, it is important to know, because there are real implications to this, how candidates raise the money they need in order to run a national campaign. When we began this campaign, we had to make a very fundamental decision. Should we establish a super PAC and ask Wall Street and billionaires for campaign contributions? We agreed with you. So unlike every other campaign, including Secretary Clinton's, we said, no, we are not going to establish a super PAC. We're just going to go out to the middle class and working families and ask for help. And you know what has happened over the last year? We have received 7.3 million individual campaign contributions. Anyone know what the average contribution is? Every time I hear that, my heart starts beating. That's right, $27. And what that means, to paraphrase Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, this is a campaign of the people, by the people, and for the people. Secretary Clinton has chosen to raise her campaign funds in a very different way. Last filing report for her super PAC, she had $25 million from special interest, $15 million from Wall Street alone. I believe that we have got to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Secretary Clinton thinks we should raise it to $12 an hour. Not enough. Now there is an issue that is of enormous consequence to our country and to the entire world. And that is, as a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment, I'm here to tell you climate change is real. And it is caused by human activity. And if we do not get our act together in the near future, what the scientists are telling us, that we will not be leaving this planet to our kids and grandchildren in a way that is healthy and habitable. In fact, what there will be is more drought, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean, more rising sea levels, and more international conflict as people fight around the world over limited natural resources. I believe, well, that's a good point. I agree. No pipelines. I got my speech writer over there. This guy's helping me all the way. I was one of the first members of the Senate to come out and say, no, we do not want the Keystone Pipeline. We should not be excavating and transporting some of the dirtiest fuel on Earth. And I'm proud to tell you that I've introduced the most comprehensive climate change legislation in the history of the Senate. And what I believe we have to do, and I know this is a fairly radical step forward, but I believe this is a major, major crisis. we bring forth a tax on carbon. But what we also do is put $41 billion into making sure that any worker in this country who is dislocated as a result of the transition from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy gets the kinds of new jobs that are out there, gets the health care that needs. $41 billion to make sure that workers who are hurt will get new jobs, their communities will be rebuilt. There's another issue out there, and that has to do with this, whether or not the United States and the rest of the world will continue to have clean drinking water. This is a global crisis. I believe that we should ban fracking. Secretary Clinton does not, and in fact, when she was Secretary of State, she pushed the fracking technology on countries all over the world. That was wrong. That foreign policy and military policy are one of the important things that a president does. It is important that we have somebody in the White House who has good judgment on foreign policy. The most important foreign policy debate in our modern history was over the war in Iraq. I listened to what Bush and Cheney and all the rest had to say. I didn't believe them. I voted against that war. Secretary Clinton and a senator from New York heard the same evidence that I did. She voted for that disastrous war. Let me tell you some good news, and that is Donald Trump is not going to become president of the United States. In every recent national and state poll, we defeat Donald Trump, often by very large double-digit margins. And what is important for the delegates going to the Democratic National Convention to know is that in virtually, I think, all of these national and statewide polls, I beat Trump by much larger margins than Hillary Clinton does. Second of all, it is not just polls, it is you. And I'll tell you what I mean by this. Republicans win elections when people feel hopeless and demoralized and voter turnout is low. That's what happened in 2014. Republicans won a national landslide. 63% of the American people didn't even come out to vote. I believe, as attested to tonight in Sioux Falls, as attested to in large rallies and energy that we are seeing all over this country, that if we are the campaign taking on Trump, you're going to see millions of people standing up, getting involved in the political process. guys, we're in this together. Our campaign is going to bring out working people who in the past have given up and not voted. We're going to bring out young people who may never have voted in their lives. And together we will have, dare I say, a huge voter turnout. And when we have a large voter turnout, not only do we retain the White House, we'll regain the Senate, maybe win the House and win governor's chairs up and down the line. When people are prepared to stand up and fight back, progressives and Democrats win. I think this is the campaign to do that. Trump will not become president in addition because the American people will not, in my view, vote for a candidate who every day is insulting Mexicans and Latinos, who is insulting Muslims and women, who is insulting veterans and African Americans. That is not the kind of president that the American people want. And I'll tell you something else. The American people, deep in their gut, understand that what makes our country literally unique in the world is that we are a strong and great country because of our diversity. My father came to this country from Poland, and my guess is there are probably 150 countries all over the world that people here's family came from. And everybody knows that we are strongest when we stand together as black and white and Native American and Latino and Asian American. When we stand together as gay and straight, male and female. That diversity and bringing us together will always trump those who try to divide us up. And here's what the American people also understand, that in this country we must support each other. Every family in America, rich or poor, black, white, Native American, every family in this country has its problems. And what makes us strong must be the understanding that when your family is in trouble, my family and this country are there for you. And when my family has problems, you and our nation are there for us. That's what makes us strong. And that understanding that we are better human beings and we are a stronger nation when we care for each other will always trump the ideology of selfishness. country also understand a very, very profound message. And that is taught to us by every major religion on earth, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, whatever. And that message is that at the end of the day, love always trumps hatred. Not Bernie, it's you. Where was the sign? There was a sign here that says, "We are the revolution." Where that sign? Let me see it. Get it up. Show it to everybody. Turn around. That's the whole campaign on that cardboard board. Look, it is true that Wall Street has endless supplies of money, and I mean endless supplies. So they can do anything they want. They have tremendous economic power and political power. It is true that corporate America today's greed and recklessness is destroying our economy. They are enormously powerful. It is very true that the corporate media will determine what you see and hear, and they own that media. It is true that billionaires are in the process of buying elections. That's the bad news. But the good news is that at the end of the day, when working people and middle-class people stand together, we have far more power than they do. They have the money, we have the people, and the people together will win this struggle. I want you to think about the history of America in one profound lesson. Real change, not superficial change, real change has never ever come about from the top on down, always from the bottom on up. Years ago or more, there were workers in South Dakota, workers in Vermont, and all over this country. You know what? They were working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. There were children working in factories. But workers said, we're not animals, we're not beasts of burden, we will have dignity. They came together and formed unions and engaged in collective bargaining. And in many ways, the union movement gave us the modern American middle class, and we're going to strengthen the trade union movement. In the midst of the obscenity of slavery in this country, there were African Americans and their allies who, amidst all of the horror, they stood up and they said, the day will come when we will rid this country of racism and bigotry and discrimination. And over the decades, we will never ever know the names of the heroes and heroines who died, who went to jail, who were beaten, who lost their jobs, standing up against racism. But that is how change comes about, when people stand up and fight. years ago today, not a very long time, women in America did not have the right to vote, did not have the right to get the education or the jobs they wanted. A mere 100 years ago. Think about it. And what the system said to them, what the establishment said to the women, your job is to stay home, clean the house, and have babies. But women showed unbelievable courage. They said to the system, you will not define who we are, we will define ourselves and our lives. And women and their male allies stood up, fought back. Women went on hunger strikes, they went to jail, some died. To say loudly and clearly that in America, women will not be second-class citizens. Against the odds, that's how change takes place. Let me give you another example. If we were here 10 years ago, no time at all, somebody said, Bernie, you know, I think by the year 2015, gay marriage will be legal in every state in this country. Think about it. 10 years ago, somebody said that. Person next to her would have said, you're crazy. Can't happen. There's too much bigotry in this country, and gay marriage will never be legal in 10 years. But what happened is the gay community and their straight allies stood up, fought back, and they said that in America, people should have the right to love whoever they wanted, regardless of gender. If we were here 5 years ago, no time at all, 5 years ago, somebody stands up and says, you know, Bernie, there's $7.25 an hour. Federal minimum wage is a starvation wage. We've got to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour. The person next to her would have said, $15 an hour? You want to more than double the minimum wage? You are nuts. You are thinking too radically, too big. You're out of your mind. Maybe $9 an hour, maybe 10, 15 is too high. But what happened? Workers in the fast food industry, in McDonald's, in Burger King, in Wendy's, they went out on strike. They marched and they demonstrated and they told America they cannot make it on $7.25 an hour. And then a few years ago, up in Seattle, Washington, the city council passed $15 an hour. Los Angeles, San Francisco, $15 an hour. California, New York State, $15 an hour. Here is my point. Forgive me for taking you through that short historical lesson. But here is my point. What the establishment always wants you to think is that real change is unattainable, is impossible. You can't have it. But what history has always shown us is that when people stand up and fight back, there is nothing that cannot be accomplished. I have been all over this country. I've been all over this country in this campaign, from California to Maine and a lot of states in between. And I see people now beginning to question the status quo. They're looking around them and they're saying, why is it that we have a corrupt campaign finance system where billionaires are buying elections? That's not right. Why do we have such a grotesque level of income and wealth inequality when ordinary people are working long hours for low wages, almost all in the weak nation on earth? Not right. Why do people on Pine Ridge Reservation die 20 years earlier than they should? Not right. Why is our infrastructure collapsing? Not right. Why are young people leaving school $50,000 in debt? Not right. Why are we the only major country on earth not to guarantee paid family and medical leave? Not right. Why are we the only major country that does not guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child? Not right. So all over this country, people are beginning to look at an America which is very different than the America we have today. An America with a vibrant democracy. An America with an economy that works for all, not just the few. An America that leads the world in combating climate change. An America that says we're going to have the best educational system in the world. An America that is prepared to stand up to the billionaire class and their super PACs and tell them that our government belongs to all of us, not just a few. Now we can together win the Democratic nomination if we do very, very well in the next 8 states, the last 8 states that are voting. We won, as you know, last week on Tuesday, we won a great victory in West Virginia. The week before, we won a beautiful victory in Indiana. And on Tuesday, I think we've got a good shot to win in Oregon and Kentucky. And then comes June 7th. 6 states are up. So if my memory is correct, some 700 delegates at stake, including delegates here in South Dakota. What I have learned from this campaign is that we win elections when the voter turnout is high. I would hope and urge you all to do everything you can to make sure that on June 7th, the South Dakota Democratic primary has the largest voter turnout in its history. And I would hope very much that on June 7th, the people of this beautiful, beautiful state of South Dakota tells the world that you are prepared to go forward with a political revolution. Sioux Falls, thank you very much.
All right, everybody, that was Bernie Sanders in Sioux Falls, and I'm gonna cut that out of there. I love the music that Bernie Sanders speeches and events always add to this. It's at least I know it's not gonna get smacked. Look at that crowd. Look at all those people. Nice pan there by whatever this is coming from. That is great. Thank you all for being here with us. I want to talk about a few things real quick. I'm just doing those pans. We've got some some stuff going on. We've got some events coming up. Tomorrow, newsroom. It's Friday the 13th, everybody. Join me for the newsroom. Friday the 13th, Frackenstein special. We'll be talking about fracking. We'll be talking about, well, Hillary, the queen of fracking. Bride of Frackenstein was what I wanted to go with. I love this. She's just, I think that's beautiful. Thank you, Steph, for the beautiful artwork there. We discussed a lot of different ways to push this out, and then it was like, nah, clean is best. We just, Frackenstein. It's a beautiful thing. So join us tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern for that. And then, but wait, there's more. We have a special event with guest David Spratt, co-author of Climate Code Red. And he's going to talk to us. He's in Australia, and we have to do this special. He would have joined us for the newsroom in the morning, part of Frack Off Friday, but he's in Australia, crazy-ass time zone. And so he's going to be, I think it's like 8 a.m. his time, and it's 6 p.m. Our time, or 6 p.m. my time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Join us for special guest David Spratt to talk to us about whether we can actually save the Great Barrier Reef. And I'm reading new information. Somebody sent me some information. I want to say thank you. I realize that there are portions of the barrier reef that are still fine, and that there is a chance for the coral to grow back. I'm going to talk about all that tomorrow because everybody's missing the big point that it got annihilated in 1 month because of 1 degree Celsius increase for that 1 month. So the chances of it surviving, when the possibility of that happening again, this 1 degree Celsius increase is pretty. It's imminent. It's gonna happen again and again and again and again. We haven't even gotten to summer yet, folks. So I know that this is part of the perception of the climate that we have to talk about, and I'm really excited to have David Spratt with us tomorrow because he is going to educate us all on the reality of the situation with the Great Barrier Reef. Before that, we'll do our special Frackenstein Friday the 13th episode, and I just want to check in on comments really quick, make sure everything's okay. Yeah, this was a great day. We did have a great day, Laura Live and Good. Thank you for that comment. I got your last name right this time. I haven't been saying it right. I found out. It's Frack Off Friday in Britain just now, I believe. Yes, it is. Stunning Lad 1. That's awesome. All right. So, we're going to get out of here with a cool song. I meant to play this earlier. I love the... there were a couple... First of all, there are a couple things that Bernie said in there we're going to play for Bites tomorrow because they were fantastic, right? The hold up the sign, blast that. I meant to say that too. We are the revolution. That needs to just be the hashtag. That's going to be the hashtag on the card tomorrow. Just blast the shit out of that. Hit the air. Come on, we are the truth force. Get on the internet. That's what we own. And let's blast that out of here. Oregon is hot because of feeling the burn. Oregon is also unseasonably hot because of climate change. It shouldn't be this warm here right now at all. This is ridiculous. No salmon run, really. Really no ski season. We had no winter in the Northern Hemisphere for the most part. Not okay. Not okay for me. I kind of like the rain. I kind of like the mist. I really enjoy that. Yeah. Australia is going into winter, not summer. There's Southern Hemisphere. Boy, right. Okay. But I'm talking about here. But either way, they're down there, and it's a fucked up time zone. That was my point on it. But here, let's watch this video. This is Feel the Burn, the Bernie Sanders rap by Johnny Freesh. Johnny Freesh. This is awesome. This is just so representative of the creativity of the 99, the creativity of the political revolution, of us. There's never before been this much media, this much passion, this much give a shit in the people about fixing their planet, fixing their government. We have been silent for decades. We gave away our power, right? And now the apathy's gone. Bernie woke us up. We give a shit again, and we're going to fix things. We got about 10 years to fix the planet. We got about 10 years to get off fossil fuels, or we're screwed. And even if we can completely rid ourselves of fossil fuel use in 10 years, we are looking at decades of not good conditions on Earth. The reality of where we sit is vastly different and vastly worse than what they tell you on establishment media. But you all know that. I'm preaching to the choir. Anyway, let's be positive. Let's be thankful that based on everything we see, it looks like Bernie Sanders, we're kicking ass, taking names, taking this all the way to the convention. If you can get to Philly, go to Philly. Find a way. If you need help, let's try to organize, get together. I know there's a bunch of marches, a bunch of things happening. I'm going to get my butt to Philly now. I know that I can. And I've got some interesting things we're trying to plan for that. But we need to show up 1 million strong in Philly to let the government know that the people are taking control. We're done giving away our power. We want it back. Feel the burn, everybody. Let's go out with Feel the Burn, the Bernie Sanders rap by Johnny Freesh.
Feel the burn. You should really feel the burn. I said to feel the burn. You need to feel the burn. We said to feel the burn. You better feel that burn. Let's go. I don't normally tell people how they should feel, but I felt this time I really had to say my spiel. Cause the fact that Bernie has a chance to win the race means a single voice can make reality of daydreams. I usually don't give a crap, but lately the messages that Bernie has asserted have made me. There's finally a politician who speaks truth and isn't in the pocket of the evil Lord Z. New. Why the hell we giving corporate tax breaks? The CEO just gonna spend it all on a fast steak, a beachfront crib he earned by making your back ache. On margins that exist because we set up for bad pay. And Hillary ain't gonna fix these issues, cause she won't rock the boat she got from the city group. She made her bed inside the corporate pocket. Now she's grabbing rolls of quarters while she's riding the rocket. She's only even competing because she got a deeper purse. It's full of bio why she pot up quenching evil thirst. So if you're sick of presidential puppets, you should really love and covet that we get to feel the burn. Want your kid to go to college? Feel the burn. Without $100,000 deposit? Feel the burn. Sick of living hand to mouth? Feel the burn. While the rich are balling out? Feel the burn. Are you scared of gun violence? Feel the burn. And the subsequent riots? Feel the burn. Think it's ridiculous that prisons? Feel the burn. Are a private owned business? Feel the burn. I usually don't politic, but this shit is ridiculous. You got a candidate that's awesome and you're just gonna squander it? Just take a second and ponder it. If you want your children to be able to attend some good colleges where they don't need to worry if some crazy kid who bought a 9 rolls up in the classroom bowling like it's Columbine. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to die from an antiquated law that is clearly gone awry. It's just another factor in the overcrowded prison, so incarcerating children can't continue printing shillings. And now there is a candidate who will actually change this, and you are gonna vote for a woman who changes position just to make the people think she has learned? Screw that, feel the burn. Want your kid to go to college? Feel the burn. Without $100,000 deposit? Feel the burn. Sick of living hand to mouth? Feel the burn. While the rich are balling out? Feel the burn. Are you scared of gun violence? Feel the burn. And the subsequent riots? Feel the burn. Think it's ridiculous that prisons? Feel the burn. Are a private owned business? Feel the burn. Do you want a president who states the truth with consistency since '82? Vote Bernie. Do you want the NSA to spy on me, or you want to have a little bit of privacy? Vote Bernie. Would you like to be able to get some health care? Do you want to stop having to live on welfare? Vote Bernie. Do you want to put an end to the war on drugs and eliminate the need for the corner thugs? Vote Bernie. Do you want to stay oppressed by the Federal Reserve? Would you rather get the money that you very well deserve? Vote Bernie. Do you want to leave the world in the broken form it's in, or would you rather reform it for your kids? Vote Bernie. 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 Vote Bernie.
Huge